Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about laddering interview technique using UxLadder. Today, we will discuss into the fascinating world of laddering interview techniques, specifically focusing on its application through UxLadder. This approach is crucial for uncovering the deep insider into the user behavior, preferences, and motivation, enabling us to design more intuitive and user-centered product. Whether you are seasoned professional or new to UX research, this webinar will equip you with the knowledge and skills to leverage the laddering technique effectively. So really very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendation, and suggestion, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world at large. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have amazing person as guest. He is internationally known and recognized speaker, having a wonderful experience and exposure in academia as well as in industry. He conducts training session in multiple universities, including Bahri University Karachi campus. He is a great human being, and we always see him while contributing to the world and field in different ways by sharing his knowledge. So let me introduce him formally. He is an assistant professor and MBA head at Salim Habib University. He has over 4 years of experience in teaching, research, and administration in the field of business and marketing. He holds a PhD in retail management from University of Karachi, where he also obtained his MPA and BPA in human resources, with an MBA from the Anglia Ruskin University, UK, United Kingdom, and he has the relevant international exposure that helps him offer great value to the student learning and mentoring. In addition to that, his core competencies include omni-channel retailing, brand management, marketing communication, digital marketing, which he applies in both academic as well as in practical settings. He is passionate about advancing the knowledge and practices of marketing and retailing. Moreover, he also collaborates with the various stakeholders to design and deliver high quality courses, projects, and publications. In addition to that, his goal is to contribute to the development and innovation of businesses and manufacturing sector in Pakistan and beyond. In addition to that, he has also designed and updated the curriculum plans for both bachelor's and graduate program, business administration, business analytics, and supply chain management. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Dr. Hassaan Ahmed. Dr. Hassaan Ahmed, welcome to Calvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heather. It's pleasure to be here, and it's always good to speak to the international audience. And thank you for the invitation and such an audacious introduction. Thank you. It's really auspicious to have you.
Thank you so much, and it's really pleasure to have you. We have been watching your different posts. The way you are contributing to the world is really appreciable, and we look forward for your contribution this time as well. So over to you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I will be sharing the screen for today's session. Today we will be talking about about laddering interview techniques. Uh, so let me share the slides first. Share screen. Share screen. Can you see the screen? Yes.
Yes, Dr. Sir, we can see, but if you can make it a full screen, please.
Let's make it Full screen. All right.
Yeah, there is an option. Uh, can you hide it, please? It is on the screen.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay. So I think let's start with it formally. Okay, laddering interview techniques. First of all, it's very important to understand what laddering interview techniques are and how and where they are being used. Uh, Laddering interview technique is most important for all the market researchers, all those students interested in analyzing and understanding what the market and the consumers say and talk about their products. So, when we particularly focus on understanding the consumer insights, so now focusing on and understanding consumer insights, we need to understand what they think. So what they think, how are we going to understand what they think about a particular product, good, or a service? So we need to go back into we need to go back and understand what their thought processes are. As a marketing student or as a marketeer, we always understand, and we are in the hunt of understanding what the buyer's black box is. If we talk about buyer's black box, we would be focusing on understanding that the buyer's black box is consist of their subconscious and conscious mindset. And where do we get all those subconscious? How can we train, how can we understand, and how these consumers are able to relate things in their mind? So, laddering interview techniques help market researchers understand those consumers' needs and wants, driven through their conscious and subconscious mind. If we go through the definition of this laddering, it says that it's a technique that is particularly helpful in eliciting goals and underlining values, and therefore possibly helpful during early stages of user experience research. It is laddering, sometimes referred to as benefit chain, is a market research technique for discovering the association consumers have between specific product attributes and general end states or consequences. So similarly, as we discussed, while we are talking about the laddering interview techniques, when we are talking about laddering, we first of all we need to understand how it is conducted. First, we will be doing interviews of the consumers. But okay, what's so different about doing interviews from like structured interviews or semi-structured interviews or open interviews like other market research techniques too? So what's the major difference between all those, like normal interviews, like as an individual we take for our research, and then what's the difference between laddering interview techniques? So we need to understand this technique, this laddering technique is based on means and end chain approach. It's based on means and end chain approach, and this technique has three aspects to the interviews that we take. First of all, we will be focusing on understanding what are the attributes that are associated with the product, and then we will be understanding what are the consequences that a particular consumer or a user associated with that particular product, and then finally the values that they associate. We will be going in detail and understanding what these ACVs are. We call them ACVs. So ACVs are attributes, consequences, and values. They have further subdivisions in it, like we can divide them further. There will be concrete attributes, there will be abstract attributes in it, and then we have consequences that are based on the psychosocial consequence, functional consequence, and then at the end we have values. So while we are conducting our interviews, or as a market researcher, when you are conducting your interviews from the consumers or from your respondents, you have to focus and understand that you will be focusing and trying to evaluate. You will be asking them questions to answer these three things: A, C, and V's. Before let's go on to means and ends in approach, so that you understand what these really attributes, consequences, and values are. Means and end chain approach talks about focusing on in understanding what are the means, why do consumer buy products. Like when we talk about means, we will be talking about why are consumers buying these their goods and services. So once we understand why they are buying it, we need that stage is called that stage is assessed through attributes and benefits that they associate with those means. And then finally we need to come up and move up the ladder, like from moving on from attributes. We will be moving on what are the attributes that consumers associate with those particular products, and what are the outcomes from it, what are the consequences that we will be attaching to those, consumers will be attaching to those attributes. And then finally then we will be talking about the values they will attain with that particular good and service. Let's look into what it is and how do people associate different uh, uh, attributes and consequences with the products. So, means and end chain value. When we talk about attributes, let's first look into what are attributes. These are tangible product features. For example, when you are buying a car, you will be thinking, okay, what are the attributes connected and associated with a car? So, attribute will be a particular what is the color of the car, how many, is it a two-door car or a four-door family car. So physical attributes are connected to the physical attributes connected to the product are its attributes. And then leading on to that, we will be connecting those attributes to the functional consequences and the psychosocial consequences we will have with particular product. Functional consequences are the immediate and the tangible benefits that a particular person or individual consumers tend to achieve from that particular product. For example, if you're buying an SUV car, or probably you are buying a minivan, the attributes will be different for the consumers that they will associate, the product features and attributes that they will associate, and then definitely the functional consequences that both the cars will have or will be different for every individual that they are buying. So we need to understand a particular attribute that is connected to the product, and the functional consequence coming out of that particular product will be different for every consumer as well. But we as a market researcher need to assume and need to assess, okay, for a particular product, like for example, when I researched when I used this technique, means and end chain approach or UX laddering approach for my research work, I was trying to evaluate and assess how online channel like Omni-Channel, like how people associate online shopping behavior. Why do they buy that? What type of attributes do they connect with online shopping? And why do they, like leading from, like starting from the attribute, I build on the functional consequences. Okay, like if they are buying online, definitely they will be buying from the website. Either they will be buying from the website, or they will be connecting to an mobile application, or to any other online medium or channel. So what kind of attributes do they attach to that? For example, when we talk about website, we will be talking about the user exchange interface. We will be talking about the website readiness, how easy it is and to use and scroll. So all those attributes, those are tangible attributes in terms of when we are talking about online shopping. What tangible attributes those consumers associate with the use of that product? And then what will happen from them, those attributes will help them develop drive functional consequences. If the UX or UI, user interface or user design of a website is good, the functional consequence will be that people will be it will be easy for the people to browse that website. It will be easy to probably exit, or it will be easy to probably add products to the cart. So all the functional consequences leading to that website will end towards the consequences that people or consumers associate with the product. And then finally, those functional consequences will help understand what are the psychosocial consequences associated with these products and services, or the use of services that consumers attach to those products. Like, the definition of psychosocial consequences are emotional benefits achieved from experiencing the product. So if I am buying online, if I'm buying online, if I'm shopping from an online website, I got my product, I put it into the cart, but I'm not able to log out, and I'm not able to, for example, what you call it, I'm not able to put in or place an order to that. It's out of stock. What will happen to my psychosocial consequence? I will be irritated, I will be agitated, I will not feel happy about, okay, I got my product what I liked, I spent like 30 minutes on this website, I browsed so many products, but in the end, when I'm trying to place an order, I'm not able to place that. Or if the journey is smooth, when we talk about consumer journey, or when we talk about customer journey across different touch points, all of these matters. And as a market researcher and through UX laddering technique, we are trying to decode all of these. We are trying to decode all of these factors that a customer or a consumer experience throughout their purchase journey. So we need to understand that. So now what is happening, what happens in UX laddering technique is we are able to decode and dissect all their consumer behavior across their customer journey across different touch points. And when we interview them, we have to focus on understanding. Now, then, of course, I'll go back and look into. I later on I will be discussing about how to interview for. Sorry, how to interview for laddering tech, US laddering technique. So once we go to the psychosocial consequences, that what are the psychosocial consequences that consumers are associating or consumers have associated, we will go to the final stage of our value chain. That is the values and they associate the state of mind consumer is trying to achieve. What was the core reason? That is actually the black box that through this laddering technique we want to decode. Probably, like, surprisingly, when I interviewed through this technique to for my online shopping behavior, I was surprised to understand that people do not buy things for what they do actually, but actually what they mean to them. And it's very common, like in consumer behavior, also we focus on understanding, we focus in to understand why people are buying certain goods and services, what are the reasons behind buying a certain good and service. So similarly in UX laddering, we are able to decode why they are buying that. So for example, if I ask, okay, why, from a consumer, why what happened to you when you shopped online, what value did you achieve from it? So I was able to understand and identify that, okay, consumer felt more empowered. There are 12 techniques, 12 values that are associated to it. 12 values that are universal, that in marketing research we can, because our research should be reliable and it should be validated. So everything that we do can needs to come down from a certain context. We need to understand that there should be a rationale behind in driving why we are driving or why we are giving certain values to a certain aspect. Like whenever we interview, we will be interviewing some normal people, normal consumers. They might not be knowing what the key terminologies for marketing are. They might not be knowing what key terminologies for market research that researchers conduct. But as a researcher, for us, we should be able to understand and analyze and dissect. Okay, if somebody is saying this, for example, if somebody said to me that I felt empowered, I felt in control of my life. So for me, I figured it out that that person, that consumer, is saying that he has felt achieved, like he is feeling achieved. There is a sense of achievement for that person when, for example, for a lot of females around the world, or if we talk about in Pakistan particularly, females are a lot dependent on their male counterparts for going out and shopping and stuff. So due to this online shopping behavior, or due to the emergence of online platforms, they feel empowered that they are not now dependent on others for the shopping. So when I interviewed especially females, there was a very important value that comes down every time I interviewed a female individual, that they feel more empowered and achieved because they were able to do their own work on their own rather being dependent on someone else. So as a researcher, we as a market researcher, or if we are using this laddering technique, we need to understand these different dimensions of values. I shared it. It's these are the values and that we can use it for the reference. And it's a model from the Schwartz model. I'll share it with Dr. Saab as well, the link from the online platform where you can associate. But these are the different values that we can associate. Like, for example, self-direction. If somebody is saying that they feel independent, thought and action expressed in choosing, creating, and exploring. Someone might say that from the use of this product or from this services, I felt excited and I it helped me achieve something, and I was more I feel stimulated. Now, these all helps you in the coding part. Like, it's similar to what we do as in qualitative research. You need to code your interviews. Do you need to use coding technique to interview while you have transcribed? Once you have transcribed the interview, you need to code all of those based on the themes that are provided. So you need to, when we are talking about transcribing and when we are talking about coding, it's a complete whole process. As a qualitative researcher, a lot of people watching or viewing will know that there is a whole process of doing that. It's similar to that when you are interviewing, when you are taking interviews in this UxLadder. For the UxLadder, you have to first focus like on attributes, like we discussed before. So you have to develop codes. You have to develop codes for the attributes that are connected to your particular research. Then similarly, on the second stage, you will have to develop codes for your consequences, and at the third stage, you have these values given to you. Those are self-direction, stimulation, hedonism, achievement, power, security, conformity, tradition, benevolence, and universalism. So all of these, again, you will code them. Not necessarily all of these will be associated with your research, but most of them or some of them will be relevant to what consumers are saying that. So let me show you now a brief example of how these interviews, how these coding, what are the codes that happened that I conducted for my research came out, what are the results of the UX laddering technique that I conducted. So you can see there, here is a projection of a ladder. First two ladders, the ground ladders, we can see that it's these are the attributes, and the third and the fourth ladder, it talks about consequences, and the last one is the last ladder is about the value. So when I questioned my respondents about what do they feel about online shopping and physical shopping, like my topic was omni-channel retailing. So I wanted to ask them about how do they experience omni-channel shopping in their country or in their cities, and what it is. So the attributes that they connected were price comparison, movement across channel, customized offering, brand familiarity, similar offerings, feasibility, inquiry, and information access. All of these, like when we talk about omni-channel, let me explain a bit about what is omni-channel. It is the integration of online and offline channels. So a person can browse online and go to a physical store and shop there, or probably if somebody has visited a physical store, he can go online and browse and order something from online. So uh, across the customer journey, like when we talk about customer journey in omni-channel, people can move around different channels. They can and parallel they can use parallel platforms at the same time. Like, for example, they can be in the store and they can browse online and look at the website, and they can compare and contrast the prices from different websites. So it's very unique in omni-channel customer experience. So I wanted to inquire. My whole process and my whole idea was, what are the values, what are the end goals, Like where previously we talk about means and ends in approach. So what are the end goals that they want to achieve through using omni-channel shopping? So you can see that my interviews helped in identifying that they felt hedonism. Hedonism is like a state of pleasure, and they felt okay. There's there is a unique what you call it, a ladder for it. Like for example, when you see that two, that is price comparison, and four, that is movement across channel. These are these are the basic attributes that are associated and connected with flexibility. So, where in concrete attributes, then we have abstract attributes. Those are flexibility, personalization, consistency, integrated, and connected. So, price when people are buying from omni-channel, they can do price comparison and they can move across the channel. What does it help them with? These price comparison and movement across channel helps them with flexibility. They get flexibility because they are able to like either you go to shop from a physical store, you don't have the flexibility, like you are stuck with, okay, I have only limited options, I cannot go and browse. So what happened with this, from online shopping channel, the attributes they got was price comparison and movement across channel, and this gives them flexibility. And then this flexibility helps in the consequence, that the functional consequence was that they are able to have variety seeking options, they are able to have variety of options. And the other functional consequence, that they were able to save the money, because when you are able to browse and when you are able to compare between different platforms and different stores, you are able to understand, okay, do I have a better option, is there a value price offering at another store. So the functional consequences of flexibility flexibility, the attributes led to variety seeking and saving money, and then it leads to gratification. Like they felt gratified as a psychosocial consequence. They felt happy about it. So the gratification ended up leading into hedonism. So these are the values that they achieve. From another ladder, when we talk about seven, the seventh, and that is the attribute customized offering. Customized offering led to personalization, and then personalization led to trust in the ladder, and then trust led to risk aversion and security personnel. So all of these, like you can see this chart, it looks very difficult to decode, but when we go and look this from our software, that is UxLadder, we will be able to relate and understand that we don't need to draw it ourselves. When once you code the data, once you feed the data into the software, it's going to draw us these chart them itself. So it's a great help. Like NVivo, you can use different codes, and like NVivo helps you in coding and drawing different kinds of maps. This UX ladder technique helps in drawing the ACVs, attributes, consequences, and values for our research. So in short, if we before moving on to the software, if I shrink down the whole discussion and conclude it, UX laddering technique is about understanding the benefits people will get from using a particular good or a service, and then we need to understand and divert what emotional triggers, what are the emotional reasoning behind a particular buying decision, and in the end we will be able to lead to the consequences, like this last means and end chain approach. This is the last thing that we will, before moving on to the software, it's means and end chain approach, where you will be understanding the attributes, the benefits, and the values attached to a particular by a particular consumer with the product or a service. So okay, let's go have a quick look at what UxLadder has to offer about, and how can we do this UxLadder software. Okay. Uh, I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, Dr. Hassan, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, it's a software. You can okay. It's a free software online. You have to just log on to the app.ladderux.org, log in, and it provides couple of free trials, free access login to enter your data. On my right hand side, here you will see that these are the elements and levels that are attached to it. Elements. Attached to it, and these are the set of coding score metrics that we have attached. These let's start with the elements first. These are you can add and edit them. You can see concrete attributes, you can see abstract attributes, you can see functional consequences, you can see psychosocial consequences, and then you can see the values. It's on the right. It's on right here on the rightmost side of the screen. Concrete attributes, and you can add you can add a new element to it by clicking and add on to it. Like for example, you want to add, for example, with online shopping, people associate that uh, they are able to UX, user design. For example, if I want to associate an attribute of the website, that is user design, website design, website design. So I ended up adding a attribute, and it will add us here. Okay, here it's very important to understand that since we are doing research, and there will be a lot of questions about the validity and the reliability of this technique. So it's very important to understand nothing is subjective here. Where the whole the context of this whole research, in understanding this whole research, is you need to understand that this research is not at all subjective to my personal means and methods. Like, okay, whatever I want I can add it, or whatever consumer has said, I can just do it. No, as in doing interviews for other kind of qualitative research, similarly you have to go through the literature, you have to draw inferences, you have to understand what can be the possible attributes that are there. So because once you interview, before you interview, you need to read through a lot of literature. That literature will help you understand the attributes connected to a particular product or a service that you are trying to investigate about, or you are trying to interview about. So you don't need to draw them beforehand. It's like you really don't need to draw them, that okay, these are the attributes that are there. But yes, once you have done the transcription, once you have taken the interviews, once you have done the transcription, and you are trying to make these attributes now, then you have to make sense. And if you have to make sense, it has to be supported through the literature. Like, you have to draw an argument that okay, previously all these attributes are connected to these kind of goods and services. Like, you will find a lot of research, and there are whole papers that are connected, that will explain you how to conduct this UX laddering technique. So they clearly identify and explain that all these concrete attributes, once identified, should be supported from a source or from the literature, because it's not subjective at all. Then once you have these, once you feed in the data, uh, once you feed in the data, you will be able, like, you feed in all the concrete attributes you have all the abstract attributes you have, whatever consequences you have figured out, and then the psychosocial consequences regarding your topic and research. Like, it should not be subjective at all. You should, again, I'm repeating the same thing, like, it should comes from the literature. All the psychosocial consequences you have drawn from your interviews and from your what you call it, literature. Feed them in, and then add the terminal values from the Schwartz values that I've shown you, the 10 values that are given by Schwartz. The self-direction, security, stimulation, hedonism, these are general and universal. You can, all of us can use them, irrespective of whatever product, good and services, or whatever industry we are in. We can use all these human values that are universal to all of us. So these remains constant. Like, you can take them as constant. There are many researchers who have drawn their own values as well. But again, if you're drawing your own values, you need to support it from the literature. It cannot just happen on its own. Then how to enter now? Once we have done this part of it, once we have given this is kind of a criteria. Once we have given the criteria to this software, that okay, these are the attributes, these are the consequences, and these are the values. Now we are going to add the respondent's answer to that. We have to now, if you come to the left hand side of the screen, you will see add participants. You will add a participant. For example, I added the participant number 17. I gave it the name like we call it Ali, and then we add the letter in it. We added the first letter. We click the letter, and now one by one we need to associate through whatever transcription we have done in our info from our interviews of Ali. We would need to say that we need to adjust that. Okay. For example, he was talking about price comparison. He talked in his interview, he talked about like price comparison as an attribute. He is able to do the price comparison while he's buying online. And then the functional the concrete attribute of it is sorry, the abstract attribute of it is that price comparison helps him provide the feasibility. Like we can see that what are the abstract attributes we have: connected, integrated, consistent, flexibility, and personalization. For example, price comparison helps him personalize his offering. Like he does not want to buy an expensive product this time around. So price comparison from the website or from online services will be able to help him do personalization. We are not doing it, it's coming from his interview. You need to understand, and you need to design these letters from coming from the interviews. It has to be supported from the transcription, where you will connect like you create themes. Like in qualitative research, you can create themes. In UX laddering, you don't have to create themes. Instead, you will be creating letters from the transcriptions that are there. All right. Okay. So now moving on to the functional consequences. Functional consequences, personalization helps him with well-informed decision. Probably, if we can say, look at here, functional consequences says that time saving, variety seeking, well-informed, saving money, trust, and convenience. Probably Ali said price comparison helps him to personalize. Personalization helps him to remain well-informed with whatever decisions he is taking in life. And then this will lead to the psychosocial consequences. The psychosocial consequences that he feels achieved, like it is fulfilling for him that he is in control of his decisions. Like, and then finally it leads to the value. Like when we talk about it, he feels accomplished by doing this, by this whole decision making, like price comparison, personalization, well informed, and then he feel achieved from it. Now there can be multiple letters from one respondent. Like you can say Ali did not only talk about price comparison, personalization, well informed in this, but he also talked about, like, okay, he also talked about that I can move across the channels when I'm buying online. Okay, this helps me with uh, remaining integrated to remaining what you call it, probably flexible again. Movement across channel gives him flexibility again, flexibility, and then this flexibility allows him with an at functional consequence, that is he is able to save money, because it's convenient for him. So for example, he says functional consequence of this is convenience. This convenience allows him with gratification in abstract in psychosocial consequences, and uh, this leads up to his this leads up to him the value is security, personal security. So a particular respondent or a particular interview can end up having multiple letters and respondents. Like as a researcher, I need to assess how many letters can I draw from a particular interviewee that I have conducted the interview from. But again, I have to go back and recall again, like what will happen and how it will happen. You need to focus in understanding that you have to, when you are interviewing a particular respondent, you have to talk about you have to focus that you are talking about attributes, why you are buying a particular product. Okay, once you question why you are buying it, what attributes do you associate with it. And then of course he will, that respondent will be a layman, but you as a researcher, as an interviewer, you should drive him and keep him on track with helping him with understanding that okay, he needs to focus on understanding in answering why question, why is he buying that. And it gets sometimes very irritating and sometimes very difficult if you are novice. For the first time you will interview, it will be it will be very challenging. Like first 2 3 respondents will be a bit of challenge, but once you go through, as you develop, like your fifth and sixth respondent and the fifth and sixth interview, you will be able to dissect yourself. And I would recommend that whenever you are doing these interviews, do first 5 interviews and try to draw a kind of ladder from it. Like try to draw different attributes, connect attributes with them. Whatever you have studied from your literature, try to connect and make sense of the interviewee, what they are talking about, because in this way you will be able to relate and connect. Okay, am I going on the right track or not? So this is the whole part of the coding, not the coding, sorry, actually data entry into the UxLadder. And now when we go, you have, once you have entered the data, you can analyze the data as well. Now look at this analyze. This is the table that is drawn. We are not so particular about it, but we need to look into this hierarchical value map. So we have to see HVMP, like the chart I showed you in this in my presentation. It's not gonna draw this much this clean. You have to filter them out. It's not gonna be so clean and so visually so appealing, because I've fixed it. I've fixed all the letters. Like you can see the cutoff values here. Once you put all the letters, like for example, I interviewed about 21 people for my research. That is, and there are different scholarly argument over it. Some says that 18 are enough, some say 15 are enough, some says 21 are enough. So for me, I think after 18 I was like finding similar answers, or even after 15 I was able to identify the same kind of letters and same kind of themes from the respondents. So I limited and restricted myself to 18 only. Now here you have on the right hand side again, you will see the cutoff values. Now this cutoff value shows that how what values or what attributes and consequences you want to come in. Like there can be some attributes and consequences only one or two respondents have talked about. So do you really want to include all of them here? I don't think so, because it will be a very messy picture. Once you put all of them, if you don't put this cutoff, all the value the map will show, this map will show all the values with it. But instead, if you put a cutoff value, like at least 3 respondents or 5 respondents have talked about it, so definitely you will see that okay, it makes sense. Now you will be able to draw inferences and conclude. Not everything will be coming in, so it will be able to help you filter, and it will be able to give you a bit of more clearer picture. Rather than talking about everything, you will be able to define and decode the major themes that are driven from it. So it's similar to what will happen once you do it manually on NVivo or for other qualitative research techniques. This software helps you draw conclusion and drive ladders, and can be used as an alternate to NVivo and other qualitative research. I'm open for the questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Hassaan. I really enjoyed and really appreciate the way you just formed your presentation. I like the idea of coming up with the theoretical understanding first. You talked about the concepts and you give the orientation first. And I love the way you just described the ECV, the 12 attributes, which was very interesting. And to me, since we are not from marketing, so even I could understand it very easily. You made it very simple, and I love the way you were giving different analogies and examples, which was very easy to understand. And I think that's the beauty of the expert, that they make complex things very easy for their audience. So that's why you are a great teacher and great trainer, that you make things very easy. And the way you just talked about the topic, and then you just shifted to the this demonstration, which was very interesting to see, because you could relate whatever you were saying when you were showing the slides, but at the same time you just demonstrated each and everything, and you were correlating again, that you described it in the slides and now it is like that. So I love this idea. And I cannot believe that in just a 45 minutes session you just describe each and everything like a one day. Because to me, since I have attended multiple sessions physically on which is from 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, in a whole day people do like that, that they give the first orientation, then they come up with the demonstration through software. But you were very quick and very expert to manage it within a 1 hour and demonstrate the same capabilities. Thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation and content as well.
Thank you so much. Like it's I was limited with time, so I wanted to keep it very crisp and sharp rather than going into so much nitty and gritties. But like in a way that, because it's research is always doing it by yourself. You, because until and unless you don't do it, like that's, or you will be surprised. I learned this software myself. I learned this technique myself. Like I previously I had not used it. The first time when I used it, I just had read it somewhere in the article, and I was interested to know and figure out, okay, what is it all about? Let's do it. It was very different from other kind of interviewing techniques, so it helped me. I was interested to know, so it took me about 7 days to do that, but it was easy, not that difficult. Like it's a good technique, because whenever we talk about qualitative research, people say that, can we do some quantitative things in it? Can we really do numbers in it? Can we relate it to certain facts and figures? Like, and then I said, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Like, people really want to understand through numbers. People really want to understand through depictions. So these laddering technique helps give a concrete evidence to, okay, what what interviewees are saying, and it gives a visual representation of that.
Yeah. Wow. And we could relate the way you just were intrinsically motivated to learn it, and you learn it very well. And I like the way, as a researcher, you always give a reference of literature. You then go back to the literature and see the way you did it as well. So I think that's very interesting point, because we learn all things from the literature. And again, you could relate to literature very much with the same time. So since we have already taken a lot of time, so let me just quickly go to the question first. The first question they want to ask is that what are the most common technical challenges faced when conducting laddering interviews via UxLadder, and how can they be addressed? Yes, please.
Okay, the common challenges is about the researcher. It comes from the researcher end, because if you have not done interviews before, like if you're using, if you're not being familiar with qualitative research, you will find a lot of challenge in doing that, because it will be very difficult for you to understand how do I associate attributes, what are the attributes, what are the consequences, what are the values, and where are they coming from. So a lot of people will get confused. Okay, how do I say this is an attribute, or this is a consequence, or how so for researchers it gets difficult to bifurcate and distinguish between the attributes and the consequences. Therefore, I would say that before doing into it, read the literature and understand what are attributes for your product and service that you are talking about and you are interviewing about. So whatever goods and services you are talking about from towards your interview, from your interview, you should understand beforehand that, okay, for them it is, these are the meaning to the context. So first of them, this is the common challenge, and definitely the other challenge that they will face is in the implication metrics. Okay, they will be able to like a lot of researchers in qualitative research, they say that there are two coding techniques. One coding can be done from one researcher, and then you can ask another person from the team to code as well. So when once you are doing that, so you will find there's a discrepancy between the two codes. So it will be difficult for researchers to come on a conclusion, but then definitely this gives reliability to the research, because if the coding if researchers or if there are two interviewers and they are coding it, so they will be, and they have done this coding, so you will be able to have a better outcome and concrete results, and those results are more reliable.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. A very nice answer, and this shows your hard work and determination, the way you have gone through and the way you have learned. So you are giving it a very quick solutions for that. That how can they see, and more importantly, relating to literature and establishing reliability and validity, which is very important thing in the research. So quickly going to the second question, and which is very interesting nowadays because of AI technology and so many things. They want to ask the question that how does the UxLadder ensure ethical practices and user privacy during the lettering interviewing process? Yes, please.
Okay, definitely. Ethical consideration, research, all those who are interviewing, they need to maintain the secrecy. Like they should go back to the respondent, like mentioning, they should not mention their names and profiles. They can just name ABC to different respondent. They should maintain the whole secrecy of their information, and they should maintain, if they are, for example, if they are doing interviews from a company, if they are talking about, if they are trying to investigate from a particular company, definitely they cannot just mention the company names and stuff. So the ethical consideration comes towards the researcher, from the researcher's aspect as well, researcher aspect mostly and predominantly, where he has to keep the confidentiality of the information that he is taking, and maintain the anonymity of the interviewee. And even if at some scenarios, if in some situations they are trying to keep things like if they have given you the context and they are trying you to restrain from publicizing the information, I think the researcher should respect that and should not include it in the research. So mostly because it's more subjective, qualitative is more towards the researcher, and so they need to focus in understanding how they can maintain the anonymity and the secrecy of the information that the interviewee does not want to present to in the research.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. I'm really enjoying the way you are giving answer, but since we have time constraint, one last question, which is again very interesting. The one of the students they want to ask that, dear Prof, once we have conducted lettering interview using UxLadder, how do we analyze data more efficiently and effectively? Yes, please.
Okay, the efficiency and the effectiveness comes from the process. How rigorously have you undertaken the research process? So, any research that you do, any research once do, it's about understanding the whole process. Are you really following the ethical code of conduct? Are you following the research process? Are you following the code of conduct for the research design that you have used, or you are trying to apply for your research? So it comes, the efficiency and the effectiveness comes from the research design. So once you are very clear about your research design, you will not be able to make a mistake. Like, of course there can be challenges for individuals, but the research design part is very critical. Once you clearly define your research design and you apply and you remain confined to the boundaries, the results are definitely efficient and effective. And I can see that in my research. Like I always prefer qualitative research, since because it gives more value to us. I don't know, there are different people with different experiences, but for me qualitative gives more value, because I am able to really understand the consumer aspect of it. I'm really understand from the first hand information that, okay, what my respondent is talking about, what is he really explaining about, what's going in his head. rather than quantitative where you get the surveys done and they just give you 1, 2, 3 numbers. It's more, if you do it right, I think qualitative gives more efficient and effective results, and it's more concrete. At least to marketeers, when we talk about marketeers, it gives more meaning to the context and the data. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Hassaan. Really, I love the way you just conducted this whole webinar session. Very nice. Thank you. And at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So, what is your message to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
Yeah. Let's live peacefully, and let's contribute and add value to this knowledge economy. We all are part of this knowledge economy, the higher education system. So let's positively contribute and help each other. Like, it's really important to help each other. We might be from different educational backgrounds and from different regions, but it's really important to, as a learner, as a researcher, I always learn new things from my students and from other people around me. So let's harness an ecosystem where we all can add value and contribute to the world positively. Thank you.
Wow, very nice, wonderful message you have given to the world. The message of positivity and as well as helping each other and being open to the new things. So I think this is what we required, and we have since global citizenship, so we should help each other, particularly in researching, because through research we can contribute more and we can make this planet much better for the people who are living. So thank you very much once again, Dr. Hassaan. I really enjoyed this session with you, learned a lot from you, and I'm sure our audience from around the globe would have learned a lot from your theoretical as well as the practical demonstration. I will request to the audience that if you want to have more in-depth understanding regarding all these things, you can connect with the Dr. Hassaan Ahmed. He is very much visible on the media, as well as we will be providing his email address and the LinkedIn profile link for easy correspondence with him. He is very generous and always ready to help the people. So you can contact him for future learning and guidance. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Hassaan, for your wonderful presentation. I'm really grateful. Your content, your presentation was great.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that's all we have time for today. And thank you all who joined us from around the globe. If you have any additional questions about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or LinkedIn profile. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.